Live for yourself, not for others. Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes. Carl Jung. Welcome back to Spiritual Wisdom, where we explore the timeless teachings that awaken the soul. In today's video, Live for Yourself, Not for Others, we'll uncover the power of living authentically, of breaking free from expectations and discovering what truly fulfills you. Remember, your life is not a performance for others. It's a sacred journey of self-realization. So as you watch, I invite you to reflect. Are you living your truth or someone else's version of it? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your story might just inspire another soul on their path to freedom. 1. The root of unhappiness: caring too much about others' opinions. Most of our suffering comes from one simple mistake. We live more for others than for ourselves. We measure our worth through their eyes, shaping our choices to gain approval and avoid rejection. This constant need for validation creates invisible chains around our spirit, preventing true freedom and peace. The more we try to be liked, the more we drift away from who we really are. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." That is the essence of spiritual awakening, realizing that happiness begins the moment you stop performing and start being. To live for yourself is not an act of selfishness, but an act of honesty. Because when you are authentic, you bring truth and light into the world. When you live for others' approval, you become a prisoner of their expectations. You begin to act, speak, and even dream according to what you think will please them. Over time, this external control destroys your sense of self and leaves you empty inside. True spirituality calls you to step out of this illusion, to recognize that other people's opinions are reflections of their own fears, not measures of your value. You do not need permission to be yourself. You were born worthy, already complete, already enough. Every moment you spend trying to impress others is a moment stolen from your soul's journey toward authenticity. Carl Jung's wisdom reminds us that individuation, the process of becoming whole, requires courage. It means facing the discomfort of being misunderstood, the pain of being disliked, and the strength to walk alone when necessary. Spiritual growth is not about pleasing everyone. It's about listening to the voice within that says, "This is my path." The courage to be disliked is the bridge between false happiness and real peace. It is the moment you stop depending on others for emotional validation and begin trusting your inner compass. And as you do, you realize that approval was never the goal, alignment was. Spiritual awakening teaches that freedom is found not in being accepted, but in being real. When you no longer fear disapproval, you can finally hear your inner truth clearly. Your decisions become lighter, your heart calmer, and your energy flows naturally. You stop performing and start living. The opinions of others lose their power because your peace no longer depends on them. Happiness becomes a quiet strength, not a public performance. So live boldly, not for the crowd, but for the calling within your heart. Understand that you cannot please everyone, but you can honor your truth. Every time you choose authenticity over approval, you reclaim another piece of your spirit. This is the real meaning of spirituality, not escaping the world, but awakening within it. True joy comes when you live for yourself, guided by the light of your own soul, and allow that light to shine fearlessly, even if others don't understand it. Because the real root of unhappiness is not rejection, it's forgetting who you are. And the path to freedom begins when you remember. If this message speaks to your soul, declare it with confidence in the comments. I release the need for approval. I choose myself today. 2. The psychology behind happiness and choice. Every decision you make, every emotion you feel, and every reaction you have is guided by an inner goal, even if that goal hides beneath the surface of your awareness. According to Alfred Adler's psychological insight, nothing you do is random. Everything serves a purpose. Yet most people live unconsciously, chasing goals that stem from fear, guilt, or the need for validation rather than the desire for authentic self-expression. This is why so many struggle to feel truly happy. When your choices are built around pleasing others or gaining their approval, you slowly drift away from your true self. You start living as a reflection of expectations instead of an expression of your soul. Real happiness, however, doesn't emerge from conformity. It blossoms when you choose to live from your own truth, guided by inner clarity rather than outer noise. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." Living for yourself is not about selfishness. It's about spiritual responsibility. It's about knowing that when you betray yourself to satisfy others, you lose the very essence of who you are. You were not created to fulfill the expectations of the world. You were created to embody the truth of your soul. When you act from that center, you connect with the heart of spirituality and spiritual development. You begin to see that happiness is not something you chase. It's something you align with when you live in harmony with your authentic purpose. You stop performing for the world and start existing as your true self, unshaken by opinions, rooted in quiet confidence. Your past pain or trauma does not define you. What defines you is the meaning you assign to it. Every event in your life, whether joyful or painful, is neutral until you give it meaning. Two people can walk through the same fire. One comes out hardened by bitterness. The other emerges forged in wisdom. The difference lies in perspective. When you decide to see your suffering as the soil in which your growth takes root, you reclaim your power. This shift in perception is a profound act of spiritual development. It transforms wounds into wisdom, fear into faith, and doubt into awareness. The more you embrace this truth, the more you realize that life has never been against you. It has always been shaping you into someone capable of deep consciousness and love. To live for yourself means to reclaim your right to choose. It means to ask, what feels right for my soul? Instead of, what will others think? Every time you choose integrity over approval, you strengthen your inner light. Every time you say no to what drains your energy, you say yes to your peace. This is where spirituality becomes practical, when you apply it in daily life by honoring your emotions, your values, and your boundaries. It takes courage to stand alone, to walk a path that others may not understand, but the reward is liberation. You no longer live under the weight of judgment. You begin to breathe in the freedom of being authentically alive. And so, the lesson is simple but powerful. Happiness is a conscious choice that begins with self-respect. You don't need to be loved by everyone. You need to be true to yourself. Let your life be a reflection of inner peace, not outer approval. Remember, the most spiritual act you can ever perform is to live honestly and fully as who you are meant to be. When you do that, you don't just change your own life. You quietly give others permission to do the same. Comment below. I choose happiness on my own terms. If you're ready to stop living for others and start living in alignment with your true self, your joy is not a product of approval. It's a reflection of inner freedom. 3. Unhappiness as a strategy. Unhappiness, as Carl Jung profoundly suggested, is often not a coincidence, but a strategy, an unconscious psychological mechanism that keeps people safe from the perceived danger of failure or rejection. Many individuals choose unhappiness because it feels familiar and secure. It allows them to avoid risks, avoid being judged, and most importantly, avoid the possibility of falling short. They set impossible goals, such as earning everyone's approval or being universally liked. And when these goals inevitably collapse, they retreat into self-defeat, convincing themselves that they are simply not enough. This cycle creates an illusion of safety, but quietly robs life of meaning and joy. Spiritual wisdom reminds us that unhappiness, when chosen as a strategy, is not a flaw. It is a signal that the soul has been silenced by fear. Jung once wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." What he meant is that when we do not confront our inner fears, they end up controlling us, shaping our reality in ways we do not understand. When you constantly seek validation from others, you give away your power piece by piece. You start living for applause instead of authenticity, for acceptance instead of alignment. You might feel that if everyone approves of you, then you will finally be worthy, but this is a trap. There will always be someone who disapproves, someone who misunderstands, and someone who projects their own pain onto you. Living for others becomes an endless performance that leaves you emotionally bankrupt. Jung believed that true freedom arises when the individual stops identifying with the mask they wear for society, the persona, and reconnects with their inner self. In this process of spiritual awakening, you learn that happiness does not come from being admired, but from being real, even if it means being disliked. To live for yourself is not to be selfish. It is to honor your authentic energy, to recognize that your life is a sacred responsibility to your soul. When you begin to live according to your own truth, you stop chasing perfection and start embracing presence. You stop seeing unhappiness as proof of failure and start seeing it as guidance, an inner whisper reminding you that you've strayed from your true path. This is the essence of spiritual wisdom. Every moment of discomfort is an invitation to return home to yourself. Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." And that journey begins when you no longer depend on the world to define your worth. So the next time you find yourself feeling unhappy, do not rush to escape it. Instead, ask what it is trying to show you. Perhaps it is urging you to stop living through the eyes of others, to stop sacrificing your peace for their approval, and to finally stand in your own light. You are not here to fit into anyone's idea of perfection. You are here to express the fullness of who you are, to live for yourself, not for others. And in doing so, you awaken the deepest truth Carl Jung tried to teach. Happiness is not something you chase. It is something you remember when you become whole again. 4. The trap of seeking external validation. Seeking approval is the invisible chain that keeps so many souls from truly living. When your every decision revolves around what others might think, you slowly hand over your freedom, bit by bit, until your worth becomes dependent on the applause or criticism of others. Life then turns into a constant performance where you're always trying to prove something to be liked, admired, or accepted, and in this exhausting pursuit, your spirit begins to fade. Carl Jung once said, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." Yet that is precisely what spirituality and spiritual awakening demand, to embrace your authentic self without needing anyone's permission. When you live for others' approval, every relationship becomes transactional, every goal a comparison, and every success or failure a measure of your perceived worth. Someone else's achievements begin to feel like your loss because you've turned life into a race for validation instead of a journey of becoming. In this mindset, you are no longer guided by purpose, but by perception, constantly molding yourself to fit expectations that were never yours to carry. This emotional slavery breeds insecurity, jealousy, and exhaustion. For your peace can never survive when your happiness is rented out to the opinions of others. The essence of spiritual awakening is to realize that your worth was never meant to be negotiated. It is not something you earn through applause or approval. It is inherent, sacred, and unchanging. When you stop chasing validation, you begin to remember who you are beneath the masks. You rediscover the quiet power that comes from self-acceptance, from living truthfully even when no one claps. Life stops being a competition and becomes a creation, your creation. You stop comparing your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 10 because you understand that everyone's journey unfolds in divine timing. You begin to appreciate others' success without seeing it as a threat because you finally realize that the universe operates in abundance, not scarcity. There is enough love, recognition, and opportunity for all. The moment you detach from the need for approval, you reclaim your energy, your peace, and your authenticity. You start saying no when something doesn't align with your soul. You stop over-explaining and begin to trust your intuition. You make decisions not because they look good from the outside, but because they feel right on the inside. This is not selfishness. It is self-respect. Living for yourself does not mean disregarding others. It means living in truth so deeply that your presence itself becomes an act of honesty. When you no longer depend on the external to validate your internal, you become free. This is the path of true spiritual wisdom, the kind that Carl Jung spoke of the courage to be disliked, to walk your own path, even if it means walking alone for a while. Because the ultimate goal of spirituality is not to please the world, but to return home to your own soul and finally live as the person you were always meant to be. Leave a like and subscribe to our channel, Spiritual Wisdom, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another message that helps you return to your authentic self. Remember, your worth doesn't depend on others' approval. It comes from within. Comment below, "I no longer seek validation. I am enough just as I am." 5. The shift from approval to contribution. When you finally stop chasing approval and start focusing on contribution, your whole perception of life transforms. Because true happiness doesn't come from impressing others, but from genuinely serving them in ways that make your heart feel full. When you live from this place of sincerity, you no longer act out of fear of judgment, or hunger for praise. Instead, you act out of love, compassion, and purpose. You stop asking, "Do they like me?" and begin asking, "Did I make a difference? Did I bring light to someone's day?" That simple inner shift changes everything. It moves you from the noise of external validation to the peace of inner fulfillment. Spirituality begins when your actions come from the soul instead of the ego. When helping others becomes an expression of who you are rather than a transaction for attention. This is the essence of spiritual development: learning to give without keeping score, to love without needing acknowledgement, to create without seeking applause. You realize that service is not about losing yourself, but about discovering your deepest self, and that every act of kindness, no matter how small, is a sacred mirror reflecting your divine essence. When you help others not to be seen, but because it feels right, you begin to taste a kind of freedom that cannot be taken away by anyone's opinion. You become less concerned with being admired and more devoted to being authentic. You start valuing presence over perfection, contribution over comparison, meaning over image. And in that quiet transformation, your soul feels light, calm, and complete. You no longer need to announce your good deeds, because the satisfaction of knowing you acted from truth is enough. That is where the heart of spirituality truly lives, within the silent joy of giving, the inner peace of knowing you are aligned with your higher self. So when you wake up each day, let your goal not be to impress, but to express. Ask yourself how you can serve, inspire, and uplift even one person. Remember that the purpose of your spiritual development is not to be admired, but to be awakened to recognize that your worth has never depended on external approval. The real victory is when your happiness no longer depends on applause, but on alignment. When you can say, "I am content because I am living true to my soul." 6. The courage to be yourself. Living for yourself is not about rebellion. It's about remembering that you were never born to meet the expectations of others, but to unfold the truth of who you are. Every time you seek approval, you hand away a fragment of your freedom. You begin to shape your choices, not from the whispers of your soul, but from the noise of the crowd. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." And that truth is the foundation of all spiritual wisdom. You don't need anyone to tell you that you are worthy. Your existence itself is proof of value. When you stop trying to earn validation and instead live in alignment with your own essence, life starts to flow differently. Your energy softens, your mind quiets, and your presence becomes peaceful. You no longer chase happiness, you embody it. But letting go of the need for approval requires immense courage. It means being willing to stand alone, to be misunderstood, even to be disliked. The fear of rejection has caged many souls who might have otherwise lived extraordinary lives. We conform because we crave belonging. Yet the irony is that real belonging only comes when we dare to be authentic. Living for yourself does not mean living selfishly. It means living truthfully. When you honor your own path, you naturally inspire others to do the same. The world doesn't need more people who are liked. It needs more people who are real. And when you live authentically, your light becomes magnetic. It attracts peace, purpose, and genuine connection. Carl Jung believed that every person must confront the parts of themselves they hide in order to become whole. This is the essence of self-acceptance. to face your shadow without shame, to embrace your flaws without judgment, and to realize that even your imperfections carry divine intelligence. When you live for yourself, you stop fighting to fit in and start expanding into who you were meant to be. You discover that self-love isn't arrogance, it's alignment. You were created with intention, and your uniqueness is not a flaw, but a message to the world. So when you wake up each day, remind yourself that you don't need to perform. You don't need to explain. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. Your peace is your proof. The path of spiritual awakening is not about gaining more. It's about shedding the false layers that keep you small. It's the courage to look in the mirror and say, I am enough as I am. When you begin to live this way, life transforms not because the world suddenly changes, but because your perception does. You realize that the opinions of others can no longer touch you when your spirit stands rooted in truth. And that is the ultimate freedom. To walk your path with quiet confidence, knowing that being yourself is not only enough, it is everything. If you find this content touching your heart, please consider becoming a member to receive more in-depth lessons and direct support from me. True happiness begins the moment you stop seeking validation and start living in alignment with your authentic self. As Carl Jung reminded us, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. So live boldly, make choices that honor your soul, and trust that those meant for you will understand your truth. If this message has inspired you, please like, share, and subscribe to Spiritual Wisdom, and don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss our upcoming videos on spiritual awakening and self-discovery. Becoming addicted to your appearance? Carl Jung says that's not a bad thing. Beauty is eternity gazing at itself in a mirror. Khalil Gibran. What if your growing fascination with your own image isn't vanity, but a sign of deeper self-recognition? In today's video from Spiritual Wisdom, we'll explore Carl Jung's surprising insight that becoming captivated by your own reflection can actually be a sacred stage of individuation, a step toward integrating the self and awakening inner confidence. Have you ever noticed how your relationship with your appearance changes as your awareness grows? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's reflect together on how self-image can be a mirror for spiritual growth and personal happiness. 1. Appearance reflects the inner world. Carl Jung taught that your outer appearance is never just skin deep. It's a reflection of your inner world. When you neglect how you look, it often signals a deeper disconnection from your spirit. But when your appearance aligns with your inner truth, harmony begins to radiate through you. Confidence rises effortlessly, and your presence flows with natural ease. Your reflection is not vanity, it's feedback from your soul, a living symbol of your spiritual state. Every color you wear, every movement you make, every expression on your face mirrors the energy within. Spiritual awakening reminds you that the body is the temple of the spirit, not something to suppress, but something to honor as a channel through which consciousness becomes visible. When you start paying attention to how you appear, it's not about ego, it's about awareness. You begin to treat yourself as something sacred. Your body becomes a canvas where your inner light paints its truth. This is why during moments of inner transformation, you often feel the urge to change your look, to cut your hair, to refresh your style, to glow differently. It's not superficial. It's symbolic. The external shift reflects an internal rebirth. Jung called this the process of individuation, when the outer and inner selves finally meet in authenticity. You no longer wear an image to impress others. You wear your soul. This understanding transforms self-care into spiritual practice. When you dress with intention, when you nourish your body, when you express your natural beauty without guilt, you are not serving the ego. You are honoring your essence. Your reflection becomes a dialogue with the divine, revealing not who you think you should be, but who you already are beneath the noise. Your appearance then becomes an expression of energy, not insecurity, a statement that says, "My spirit is alive here, in this form." The eyes glow differently, the voice vibrates more softly, and your aura expands because inner peace is finally reflected through matter. There's a silent power in being fully aligned when your outer image no longer hides or exaggerates, but tells the truth of your soul. You walk differently because you are no longer fragmented. You dress not to be seen, but to express being. You care for your appearance because it is a form of gratitude for existing in this physical plane. Jung's wisdom invites us to see beauty, not as illusion, but as illumination, the light of spirit made visible through the body. To tend to your reflection consciously is not narcissism. It is a sacred form of remembrance, a declaration that your inner and outer worlds have learned to dance in harmony. If you truly believe that your appearance mirrors your inner world, let your light be seen. Type in the comments, "My outer beauty reflects my inner growth." And let this community know you're walking the path of spiritual wisdom with awareness and intention. 2. Appearance as responsibility, not vanity. Caring for your appearance is not vanity. It is a sacred act of responsibility toward your essence and purpose. When your outer presentation aligns with the way you feel inside, your energy rises, your confidence stabilizes, and life begins to flow with ease. In spirituality, this harmony between the inner and outer self is not superficial. It's a sign of spiritual growth and integrity. To look good is not to please others, but to honor the divine spark within you that longs to express beauty, order, and light. Your appearance becomes a language through which your soul speaks, a mirror that reflects your consciousness and reminds you that you are worthy of being seen. Neglecting your appearance, on the other hand, often signals inner disconnection. When your energy is low or your purpose feels dim, it shows in the way you carry yourself, in the way you dress, even in the tone of your presence. Taking care of how you look is not an obsession with perfection, but an acknowledgement of your worth. When you nurture your physical form with awareness, you send a message to your subconscious that you value yourself, that you are in harmony with life. This simple act can shift your entire vibration, aligning your energy field with abundance, confidence, and clarity. Carl Jung taught that the face we show the world, the persona, is not meant to be rejected, but purified. It becomes a spiritual bridge when it reflects the truth of who we are rather than conceals it. Every choice, from the colors you wear to the posture you hold, tells a story about your state of consciousness. When that story reflects love, self-respect, and peace, your outer world rearranges to match your inner vibration. People respond to you differently. Synchronicities appear effortlessly, and opportunities flow because your energy has become coherent. In that state, you no longer chase validation. You embody it. You become magnetic, not because of your appearance alone, but because your appearance is infused with the frequency of self-awareness and spiritual authenticity. Spiritual growth is not about detaching from the physical. It is about transforming the physical into a vessel of light. The body, the face, the clothes, all of these are temples through which the soul communicates. When you care for them consciously, you participate in the divine act of creation, turning everyday routines into spiritual rituals. Styling your hair, choosing your outfit, or simply standing tall becomes a silent prayer, a reminder that you honor the energy of life flowing through you. You begin to realize that beauty is not something to acquire, but something to awaken. Looking good, then, is not vanity, but devotion, a reflection of self-respect and inner integrity. When you align how you feel inside with how you express yourself outwardly, you create a state of wholeness that radiates peace and confidence. You start walking through the world as someone who knows that spirituality is not about escaping form, but illuminating it. Your appearance becomes an outer expression of inner harmony, a living proof that when the soul grows, it beautifies everything it touches, including you. 3. The science of alignment. When your outer image begins to reflect your inner truth, something powerful happens inside you. Your brain responds with a surge of dopamine and serotonin, those natural chemicals of joy and confidence that make you feel alive, magnetic, and aligned. You start walking with purpose, speaking with clarity, and radiating an energy that people can't quite explain but deeply feel. According to spiritual wisdom, this is not vanity, it's alignment. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." And that journey often begins when you allow your physical appearance to become a mirror of your soul's authenticity. When what you see on the outside finally resonates with what you feel on the inside, you're not feeding the ego. You're nurturing harmony between the mind, body, and spirit. But when there's disconnection, when the way you look no longer reflects the person you've become within your body senses it, the chemistry shifts, and cortisol, the stress hormone, begins to flood your system. You might feel drained, uninspired, or strangely uncomfortable in your own skin. Jung called this inner conflict psychic disunity, a state where the conscious and unconscious self fall out of balance. The mirror stops feeling like the truth and starts feeling like tension because it's showing you an outdated version of yourself. This is not a call to chase perfection. It's a signal to realign. When you start honoring your current self through your appearance, through the colors you wear, the way you carry yourself, the energy you project, you are essentially saying, "I see who I am becoming." Your image is not just fabric, makeup, or posture. It's your soul's language made visible. Think of it as your aura clothed in matter. When the outer frame finally matches the artwork within, everything feels effortlessly right. Spiritual wisdom reminds us that beauty is not the pursuit of surface perfection, but the expression of vibrational truth. The more your thoughts, emotions, and spirit evolve, the more your outer world transforms to match that frequency. You begin to take care of yourself, not because you need validation, but because you respect the temple that carries your essence. You start to see your reflection as evidence of transformation, a visual prayer of who you are and who you're becoming. So when you feel drawn, to refine your appearance, don't judge yourself. It might not be vanity at all. It might be your higher self guiding you toward alignment. You're responding to the soul's desire to bring the inner and outer worlds into resonance. As Jung would say, this is the process of individuation, the merging of all parts of the self into harmony. When your reflection becomes an honest echo of your inner evolution, confidence is no longer something you try to achieve. It simply flows. You're not obsessed with how you look. You're devoted to who you are becoming. And in that state of spiritual alignment, beauty stops being a goal and becomes your natural state of being. Leave your like and subscribe to our channel, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss more insights like this on the science of alignment. Stay connected with your inner power and let your outer world reflect your truth. Type in the comments, "I am in perfect alignment with my highest self." 4. 5 keys to mastering appearance. The mirror is not just a piece of glass. It's a spiritual tool, a portal that reflects not only your appearance, but your state of consciousness. Each morning, when you look at yourself, you're not checking for flaws. You're seeking alignment. Carl Jung, one of the greatest minds in psychology and spirituality, said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." To truly see yourself is an act of awakening. When you adjust your posture, fix your hair, or choose your outfit, you are subconsciously asking, does this version of me feel in harmony with my inner world? This is the mirror principle, the first key to mastering appearance through spiritual awakening. It's not about vanity, it's about awareness. Each small adjustment is an energetic recalibration, a way of reminding yourself that your outer world is meant to mirror the inner truth you are cultivating. When you approach your reflection with consciousness rather than criticism, your mirror becomes your mentor. The second key, the 10-minute investment, reminds you that self-care is a spiritual discipline. 10 minutes may seem like a small window, but when done with intention, it changes your entire vibration. Spend that time mindfully washing your face, stretching, breathing, meditating, or simply being present with your body. Jung taught that transformation begins in the everyday details, not the grand gestures. 10 minutes of devoted care signals to your subconscious that you are worthy of attention and peace. Over time, this ritual builds a foundation of self-trust and inner harmony. In spirituality, this daily act is not mere grooming. It's a dialogue between your body and soul, a morning prayer to your higher self through motion, touch, and care. Next is the personal standard, the invisible law that defines how you choose to appear in the world. It's not about fashion or trends. It's about coherence. How do you want your presence to feel? What vibration do you wish to radiate when you walk into a room? Your personal standard is the bridge between authenticity and presentation. When you decide what feels right for you, what colors, styles, and details represent your spirit, you are not masking yourself. You are expressing your essence. Jung believed that the persona, when consciously shaped, becomes a sacred vessel for the soul's truth. Maintaining your standard consistently communicates discipline and integrity, both powerful aspects of spiritual awakening. You begin to embody your highest energy, and others naturally respond to your clarity. Then comes the 1% philosophy, the reminder that growth, both inner and outer, is evolutionary, not explosive. Every day, strive to become 1% better, 1% more aligned, 1% more confident. In spiritual wisdom, even the smallest act of self-improvement has an exponential effect. It might mean dressing a little better, thinking a little kinder, or standing a little taller. These micro shifts compound over time, transforming not only your appearance, but your entire energy field. Jung once said, "Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakens." Each 1% improvement is a bridge between those two worlds, your external reflection and your inner evolution becoming one seamless reality. Finally, the multiplier effect reveals the magic that occurs when you radiate confidence and coherence. Your energy becomes contagious. People are drawn not to your features, but to your frequency, the way your inner peace translates into presence. You influence others not by words, but by vibration. When your outer image reflects your inner state of calm self-acceptance, you unconsciously grant others permission to do the same. In this way, caring for your appearance is not self-absorption, it's service. It elevates the collective energy around you. So when you tend to your reflection, give those 10 minutes to self-care, uphold your personal standard, grow 1% daily, and let your energy multiply outward. You are practicing spirituality in motion. You are embodying spiritual awakening in its most visible form, where beauty becomes consciousness, and every glance in the mirror is not vanity, but reverence for the divine life expressing itself through you. 5. Presence is power. After 40, your appearance is no longer about vanity. It becomes a reflection of your leadership, your inner maturity, and your spiritual growth. As Carl Jung said, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. And that truth is revealed not only through your mind, but through your very presence. When you walk into a room, people can sense whether you've made peace with yourself, whether your life has been lived consciously or carelessly. Maturity should express wisdom, not weariness. It should carry quiet confidence, not indifference. Neglect is not a sign of humility. It is often a symptom of spiritual fatigue. Caring for your appearance is an act of reverence. It says, "I honor my life, and I am prepared to lead." It shows that you understand the sacred responsibility of representing your inner world through your outer form. There is a profound connection between the way you present yourself and the energy you emit. In spirituality, this is called embodiment, the ability to allow your spirit to be seen, felt, and known through your physical being. The clothes you choose, the way you hold your posture, the softness or firmness of your gaze, all of it speaks the language of your soul. A well-cared-for appearance doesn't mean chasing youth or vanity. It means you've accepted your evolution. You've learned that beauty is not in perfection, but in alignment. When your outer self reflects your inner peace, you radiate something magnetic, an energy that draws others in without effort. Those who have matured with awareness carry a different kind of light. They lead not by words, but by presence. They embody serenity that cannot be faked. You can feel it in how they move, how they breathe, how they listen. Jung understood that true personality is born when the ego surrenders to the soul, when the outer form becomes an instrument for something higher to express itself. And so, the way you care for your appearance after 40 is no longer about impressing others. It's about mirroring your self-respect. You begin to treat your body like a temple, your clothes like extensions of your energy, and your daily rituals like sacred acts of self-honoring. Your appearance becomes a silent declaration that you are living in awareness. The wrinkles on your face are not flaws. They are maps of wisdom. The way you style yourself, walk, or speak reveals whether you live in chaos or in calm. Each choice, from grooming to demeanor, becomes a statement of self-leadership. And when your outer image harmonizes with your inner growth, you embody the essence of spiritual maturity. People start to feel safe in your presence because you have integrated your own contradictions. You no longer chase approval. You radiate wholeness. This is the beauty that Carl Jung's spiritual wisdom points to. A beauty born from consciousness, not control. When you take care of yourself, you're not indulging in vanity. You're embodying self-awareness. You're showing that you understand the sacred unity between spirit and matter. You are, in essence, saying to the world, I am here, fully awake, grounded in who I've become. And that kind of presence rooted in self-respect, refined through experience, and balanced by humility is the most powerful form of leadership there is. If this message has awakened something within you, affirm it in the comments. I choose to live fully present in every moment. My power is in the now. 6. The symbolic meaning of the body. Your body is not just a physical form, it is the sacred vessel through which your spirit reveals itself. As Carl Jung's spiritual wisdom reminds us, the body is the visibility of the soul. The soul is the meaning of the body. When you neglect your appearance or treat your body carelessly, you are not being humble. You are silencing one of the most powerful languages your soul has to express itself. Your body and style are instruments of destiny, a visible reflection of your unseen essence. To ignore them is to mute the dialogue between your soul and the world. When your outer self begins to mirror your inner wholeness, you awaken a deep harmony within the kind where life itself begins to move in rhythm with you. Your appearance is not vanity. It's a reflection of how aligned you are with your truth. The clothes you wear, the way you walk, the glow in your skin, all of it speaks before you ever say a word. When you nurture your physical form with awareness, you honor your spirit in motion. Jung's teachings remind us that the path to individuation, the process of becoming your true self, includes the reconciliation between body and soul. Your physical form is a mirror of your psychological state, an ever-evolving artwork of your consciousness. When you begin to see your body not as something to fix, but as something sacred to express, you open the door to psychological wholeness. To be addicted to your appearance, in this sense, is not a weakness, but a devotion. It means you are in love with the vessel that carries your light. Each choice you make, every color you wear, every scent you choose, every gesture you make, transmits a silent message about your energy. You are constantly broadcasting your inner vibration to the outer world. As Jung once said, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. And becoming who you truly are means allowing every layer of your being, mind, body, and spirit to reflect that truth without shame or fear. Caring for your body consciously is not vanity, it's visibility. It's how your spirit declares, I am here. When you look in the mirror and see beauty not as an illusion, but as evidence of inner harmony, you enter the state of self-respect that radiates authenticity. You no longer dress to impress. You adorn to express. You stop trying to look like someone else and instead begin to look like yourself. And that's when the world begins to respond differently. You draw in opportunities, relationships, and synchronicities that match your vibration because your inner world and outer image are no longer in conflict. They are speaking the same language. When your body mirrors your soul, life becomes fluid. You move with grace instead of resistance. You attract what resonates instead of chasing what doesn't. Your presence becomes your power. Your energy becomes your signature. And your appearance becomes an extension of your consciousness. That is the ultimate message of spiritual wisdom. When the body aligns with the soul, you no longer have to seek validation from the world. You become the embodiment of your own truth, and the universe, in turn, conspires with you. 7. The upward spiral of self-image. When you take care of yourself, something subtle but powerful begins to unfold within you. Carl Jung, whose teachings often connect psychology and spirituality, would call this the awakening of your inner world. The simple act of caring for your appearance is not vanity. It is self-respect made visible. It's the way your soul whispers, "I am worthy of care." When you nurture your self-image, you activate an upward spiral that transforms how you feel, how you act, and what you attract. You start to feel better. And when you feel better, you act better. When you act better, you achieve better. And when you achieve better, you care even more. This is not just a cycle of improvement. It's a spiritual evolution in motion. Spirituality is not about rejecting the body or denying beauty in the name of humility. It is about bringing harmony between your body, mind, and spirit. When you choose to look after yourself, to dress with intention, to move with grace, to smile at your reflection, you are acknowledging the divinity in your form. You're saying to the universe, "I honor this vessel that carries my soul." And in return, your life begins to align with that frequency of respect. Your choices become more conscious, your thoughts more peaceful, your relationships more balanced. As Jung said, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. And to become that person, you must first see yourself as worthy of becoming. The upward spiral of self-image is not about chasing perfection, but embodying presence. When you treat yourself with love, your energy radiates beyond the physical. It touches your emotions, your focus, and your actions. Every act of care becomes a statement of self-belief, a reminder that you are not separate from the divine, but a reflection of it. Jung believed that transformation begins in the unconscious. When you tend to your outer world, your inner world listens. When you care for your body, your mind becomes more focused. When you nurture your energy, your spirit begins to awaken. You create a positive feedback loop between the inner and outer self, where each reinforces the other in a dance of evolution. But when you neglect yourself, the spiral reverses. You feel less alive, less inspired, and your energy begins to fade. Neglect isn't humility. It's a silent form of self-abandonment. Jung warned that what you resist persists. And when you resist your own beauty, strength, or potential, you bury them in your shadow. This hidden self begins to control you from the background, showing up as insecurity, jealousy, or self-doubt. The decay of self-image is not just emotional, it's spiritual. Your light dims, not because it has vanished, but because you've forgotten to tend to it. The downward spiral begins when you stop believing that you are worth evolving for. In truth, your self-image is the mirror of your soul's current state of consciousness. It can either lift you toward your highest potential or pull you down into apathy. The choice is always yours, to rise through love and awareness, or to fall through neglect and denial. Spiritual awakening begins when you realize that caring for yourself is not shallow. It's sacred. It is the act of aligning your physical expression with your inner truth. When you fix your posture, when you speak kindly to yourself, when you radiate confidence, you are not just improving your appearance, you are tuning yourself to a higher frequency. Carl Jung would say that every external act has an internal echo. The way you treat your reflection is the way you treat your spirit. So, when you choose to value yourself, you teach the universe how to value you. This is not vanity, it's reverence. It's the realization that the body and soul are partners in the art of becoming. When you love what you see, not from ego, but from awareness, you become magnetic. Your confidence turns into calmness. Your calmness turns into compassion. And your compassion becomes the very essence of spiritual wisdom. This is the true upward spiral of self-image, a continuous unfolding where your outer beauty becomes the mirror of your inner awakening, and every act of self-care becomes an expression of divine consciousness in motion. If you find this content touching your heart, please consider becoming a member to receive more in-depth lessons and direct support from me. 8. Practical transformation tools. Each day offers a chance to meet yourself again, and one of the most powerful ways to do that is through conscious reflection. The 5-minute mirror audit isn't just about seeing your face, it's about witnessing your evolution. When you look in the mirror at night, don't ask, "Am I perfect?" Ask instead, "Does my appearance reflect the person I am growing into?" This is where spirituality and self-image merge, when your reflection becomes a conversation with your soul. As you keep this nightly ritual, you start to notice subtle changes, not just in how you look, but in how you carry your truth, how your posture reflects confidence, and how your eyes radiate calm self-acceptance. Beyond the mirror, there is a deeper journey, the ritual of 3 mirrors. The first mirror reflects your physical presence, the vessel through which your spirit moves in this world. The second shows your emotional energy and what feelings linger within you after each day. The third mirror reveals your aspiration, the higher version of you calling to be expressed. By practicing this ritual, you align your physical, emotional, and spiritual selves, turning self-awareness into a form of sacred discipline. Carl Jung believed that the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. And through these reflections, you move closer to that radical acceptance, which is the foundation of spiritual growth. Transformation also lives in the everyday choices that shape your environment, like the wardrobe renewal practice. Once a week, remove one item from your closet that no longer represents who you are becoming. This simple act of release carries immense symbolic power. Each piece of clothing you let go of is an old identity, a vibration that no longer matches your present frequency. As you make space, you allow new energy to flow into your life. This is spirituality in motion, decluttering the physical to mirror the cleansing of the emotional and energetic layers within you. Then comes the morning ritual expansion. Add 15 minutes to your routine, not for vanity, but for reverence. Those extra moments are an offering to your higher self. When you wash your face, feel the water as renewal. When you dress, choose colors that resonate with your current vibration, perhaps grounding earth tones for balance or radiant whites for purity. As you stand before the mirror, affirm, "I am becoming the person I am meant to be." These small moments of mindfulness build emotional resilience and spiritual awareness, setting the tone for your entire day. Finally, there is the 90-day photo challenge. Every day, capture an image of yourself, not to chase perfection, but to honor progression. After 3 months, when you look back, you'll see more than surface changes. You'll see energy, posture, and presence evolving. You'll see a version of yourself who has learned to embody growth consciously. Spirituality isn't always about meditation or prayer. Sometimes it's about observing your own metamorphosis with love. Each photograph becomes a visual diary of transformation, proof that devotion to self-awareness leads to visible lightness and inner alignment. Through these practices, the mirror audit, the 3 mirrors ritual, wardrobe renewal, morning ritual expansion, and the 90-day photo journey, you begin to understand that self-care is not superficial. It's sacred. Every act of grooming becomes a prayer of embodiment. Every mirror becomes a portal of awareness. And as you integrate these tools, you'll realize that true beauty is not a mask, it's energy made visible, the radiance of a soul in alignment. This is what spiritual growth truly looks like when it's lived, not just understood. 9. The deeper lesson of Jung. Your appearance is not a mask you wear to please the world. It is a mirror of your becoming, the visible expression of your inner evolution. You cannot embody discipline, confidence, or purpose while neglecting the vessel that carries them. When you care for your appearance, you're not worshiping vanity. You're practicing spiritual wisdom in motion. As Carl Jung said, the outer world mirrors the inner one, and that truth extends to your body, your clothes, your energy, and the way you meet the day. Every detail of your image is an external echo of your internal order, and when you neglect it, you silently tell your subconscious that your dreams are not yet worth showing up for. But when you polish your reflection with intention, you communicate to your soul that it is safe and necessary to rise into its potential. Caring for your image is a form of applied psychology, a living affirmation that you take your destiny seriously. It's not about perfection, but alignment, aligning the way you look with the life you are calling in. The way you dress, walk, and carry yourself tells your unconscious who you believe yourself to be. If you carry yourself like a person of strength, grace, and purpose, the mind will begin to shape itself to match that belief. As Aristotle once wrote, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. In this sense, every small act of care, washing your face, ironing your shirt, standing tall, is not superficial. It's sacred. It's a daily ritual that builds discipline and signals self-respect. Jung often spoke about the persona, the mask we show the world, not as something fake, but as a necessary bridge to the self. When consciously shaped, your outward form becomes a tool for awakening, not deception. Think of how temples are cleaned before prayer, candles are lit before meditation, or robes are worn for ceremonies. None of these are about impressing others. They are reminders to the spirit that what you're about to do matters. Your body is your first temple. Caring for it is your first act of devotion. Through grooming, posture, and presence, you align the outer and inner worlds until they vibrate in harmony. Each day, You delay caring for your appearance. You delay your potential. Transformation doesn't happen all at once. It begins in small, consistent acts of self-respect. If you want to become more confident, start by looking like someone who is. If you want to feel more grounded, dress in a way that reflects calm and clarity. The soul speaks through symbols, and your image is one of them. It is not vanity, it is vibration. When you look at yourself in the mirror with intention, you are reminding your unconscious, I am worthy of showing up beautifully for my destiny. Carl Jung also said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. So bring awareness to the unconscious story your appearance tells. Is it one of neglect, avoidance, or unworthiness, or one of discipline, faith, and becoming? Every morning, you have the power to rewrite that story. You don't need wealth or perfection to begin. You only need intention. Comb your hair with care, walk with presence, choose one symbol, a scent, a color, a gesture that reminds you of who you're becoming. Over time, these small, sacred rituals will rewire your mind toward confidence and grace. When you honor your reflection, you honor your destiny. The outer world responds to how you carry yourself. And when your energy says, I am ready, opportunities start recognizing you. So stop waiting to feel good before you show up as your best self. Show up first, and the feeling will follow. Your appearance is a language of energy, and when spoken with awareness, it tells the universe that you are no longer running from your greatness. As Jung's spiritual wisdom teaches, the journey towards self-realization begins when your inner truth and outer form become one seamless expression of purpose. And remember, your appearance is not your prison. It's a mirror reflecting the soul's evolution. When you learn to see beauty not as vanity, but as vitality, you begin to embody the harmony Carl Jung spoke of, the union between your inner and outer worlds. If this message resonated with you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Spiritual Wisdom. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss our upcoming videos that dive deep into the psychology of the soul and the mysteries of self-realization.